Don's Manufactory. Well, I am continuing my work here. I took out the back glass and I'm cleaning up the pinch weld now. So far only good news. I didn't break the glass when I took it out. Hey. And there's no sign of rust around the rear glass. So at this point, I'm just going to clean up the pinch weld, and then I'm going to take the headliner out and put the new headliner in. So that's what I'm doing, so I better get at it. Cleaned up pretty good. Cut the headliner pulled down on the back. Now I just got to get the rest of the headliner out and do more cleanup. Seems like that's what I always do. Clean up, clean up, clean up. I don't know if you need to see me do that part, but basically I got to take the weather strip retainers off on the sides here because the headliner goes in behind it. So I already shot the glue up there. I didn't show that, but putting up the insulator, getting it tucked in around the top. So I pretty much covered the entire roof. A lot more coverage than it had originally. Welcome to Don's Manufactory. Well, you can hear lots of fans running in the background, and that is because it is hot. Can't run any air conditioning or anything because I got to have full ventilation, lots of air coming through the shop because I'm shooting glue. I have put the insulator up. You know, it's just jute with a foil to help with heat, make it a little cooler. So that's what I got done so far. Next is prepping for the headliner. And you know, as soon as you pour that glue into the pot, the clock starts ticking. So this is like, I got to keep going till I'm done. So midnight, I don't know, whatever it takes to finish. Shooting glue around the inside of the body using the cardboard to keep it from spraying all over. Okay, I'm nervous. I just shot the glue on the headliner. You know, about 4 inches or so. Away we go. First up, get the screws put in all the places around the headliner where I need to screw things in. That way it'll be easy to find the holes later. Then got to grab the headliner and get it in there without getting the headliner stuck to itself. There you see I had to spray extra glue because my 4-inch band didn't work on the front and the back of the headliner. And then start pulling and stretching and pull it loose and stretch it again and pull it loose and stretch it again. Well, I'm still working it, trying to get them sail panels right. Turned out okay in the front. I'm really not too pleased with this headliner. The seams weren't done very well. Look at that, just horrible seams. So the pockets and the seams weren't done right, and they were spaced wrong too. But I got it looking pretty good in the front, but I'm having a heck of a time back here by the sail panels. Honestly, I may have stretched it to the front and back tighter than it should have been. Maybe looser front to back and then tighter side to side would have made a better headliner. You can see me just working those sail panels, trying to get them to lay right. I did eventually figure it out, of course. One of the things that I've watched other people put headliners in, and nobody seemed to have mentioned this, when I took my headliner out, there were these little wood strips. I just made some new ones, and some little metal tangs down here. I don't know if I can get a shot of it, but let's try. See those little tangs right there? You're supposed to roll this up in the material and slide it underneath those tangs and bang them down to get the last of the wrinkles out of the back of this sail panel. Now I've never seen anybody mention anything about these, so maybe they just put a bunch of glue down there and hope for the best. I don't know. Anyway, I'm doing it the factory way. So here you see me pushing that wood piece down in there and getting it pulled tight. Now what I'm doing is folding the headliner over to the outside of the pinch weld. So I actually brush on extra adhesive, wait for it to set, and then work along the pinch weld there, cutting relief cuts wherever I need and trimming it with an X-Acto knife. You know, I'm sorry about not getting the camera turned there. You know, I get real busy, and I don't want to stop. I have a limited time with the glue, so I have to keep working, and I just forgot to move the camera sometimes. Yeah, like then. Okay, still working that sail panel, trying to get the wrinkles out. Okay, so sorry about this part. Battery died on the camera on the front of the car, so you didn't get to see me folding over the pinch weld edge on the windshield side. So now I'm working on the sides. I'm making relief cuts and putting glue along the headliner and the outside of the pinch weld so that I can then work that last little bit. Got to pull it tight and get it stretched. You'll notice I left the threads hanging where the seams are because I wanted to make sure that I glued those really well and then stuck them down and cut them off because I didn't want to cut the threads and then have them come unraveled on the headliner. That would just be dumb. Okay, now I'm just working the windlace on there, or GIMP as I call it. Not looking too bad. Get some glue to clean up there. But there it is with the GIMP in place. Well, that's the best I could do. But all in all, I mean, even the sail panels turned out okay. So some of those wrinkles in the front will disappear when you know, the sunshades and the mirror bracket and all that goes up there. But not bad, considering. Well, I am really beat. It's midnight, but I've gotten the headliner as far as it can go, and that's about it. Oh gosh, I'm pretty disappointed with the quality of the headliner. The seams aren't sewn very straight, and geez, back here by the sail panel they left a flap just hanging. So I did as good as I could to get it going. So here you go. That's what it looks like. See those seams? Anyway, you can see, well, the sail panel looks pretty good behind me there. So, okay, well, that's it for tonight. Hi, well, I thought I would go over the most important takeaways on this headliner installation. Besides it being a lot of work. First thing we need to talk about is the insulator. Over here is the stock insulator that came out, and this is the material that I chose. It's a double-sided foil jute. The biggest difference between them, the jute is a lot more dense, so when you try to compress it, it remains thicker when compressed than this does. So because of that, the bows were up against this and fairly snugly against this insulator. And you can see how they were up against this stock one as well. So there's not a lot of clearance between the roof panel and this insulator. So I think the extra density gave me just a bit of a problem having the bows, so that the bows didn't have as much arc as they would have if I had left these in. That being said, this headliner was really poorly constructed. The box it came in had original equipment reproduction, OER. Original appearance, original quality. I don't believe that for a second. About the installation, I think I'm going to enjoy this jute headliner insulator because it's going to make it a lot cooler, but I'm not sure. Part of the look of the headliner could be my fault for using this insulator that has a higher density and thus did not compress as much and allow the bows to be in their factory position. Although the seams were so crooked on the headliner, I don't think it would have made any difference. Things that I liked about the way it went in and things that I would do differently. Number one, I think spraying the adhesive onto the headliner, that's something you should do. When you spray it on, you can get it on the headliner faster, you can cover more area quicker. The adhesive sort of sets up uniformly for installation. When it reaches that point where it's time to install it, all of the adhesive on the headliner will be ready to install at the same time. I would not spray the body. I used spray on the inside surfaces of the headliner, of the body here. And what happened was there were spots where the glue got where I didn't want it to go. And masking it and then peeling all the masking just doesn't make sense. It would take too long. So if I had to do it again, I would brush the surfaces of the body. And what that means is where the pinch weld is, I would put adhesive on the inside of the pinch weld around the curve, but no further on the body. The reason for that is I need the headliner to freely move past the structure of the body so that as I'm pulling it tight and then sticking it to the pinch weld, it can pull evenly and smoothly across the metal without sticking. Brushing the adhesive on quickly yet accurately would be a way better way to do that. And you saw in the video how I brushed the second half, which is the outside of the pinch weld. I brushed the headliner and the outside of the pinch weld at the same time, then folded it over and pinched it up tight. And that's essentially your last chance to pull any wrinkles out and re-stick anything. Because even if the glue, you've been working on it a long time and the glue is kind of stuck good and is too dry to re-stick, you're sticking the outside, so it won't even matter. It's important that the headliner stick to the inside of the pinch weld for both reasons of the windlace or gimp needs to be tightly pinched around the pinch weld, and the weather strip around the glass also needs to be able to just slide onto the pinch weld like that. The pinch weld is really irregular. So you'll notice in the video along the pinch weld, it looks pretty uneven and wrinkled and weird because all of the spot welds are there and the metal isn't flat or even or smooth or any of those things. So the headliner kind of gets distorted where it has stuck to that pinch weld. It's just important that the windlace gimp goes on far enough to cover all that up. The sail panels had this regular jute, pretty much the same thickness as the stuff that I used. The difference is it doesn't have the density. See how it's not very dense, so it squeezes way down. So the stuff that I got has clumpier lumps in it. If you can, I don't know how you would find it, but a uniform density jute, I don't know if it costs more money. This stuff here with the foil on it was specifically designed for headliners and not supposed to be a problem. But surely it was. Was a little harder to deal with. And you can see it around the sail panel where the thickness of it it's more robust. It doesn't compress back when you start stretching the material in. It doesn't compress up really well. You know, you can kind of decide, but just leaving the factory stuff in there would be okay. But I think the double-sided foil jute is actually going to make the roof of the car cooler. It just has to. It's a denser material, and it's got the reflector on it, so it should work better. I mean, I hope so. I'm not completely pleased with the look of the headliner, but you know, eventually as I'm driving down the road, it's just a driver. I'm not going to look at the headliner that much. I didn't before and it had tears in it, so whatever. I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to give a special thanks to Kiwi. What is it, Kiwi's Custom Restorations or something like that? Anyway, Kiwi, he's regularly on Uncle Tony's Garage channel. I want to give an extra special thanks to him. He showed how he does it. He didn't really put a lot of detail in the video, but it was one of the main takeaways was don't stress. He gave a recommendation for the glue, and I also highly recommend that glue. It allowed me to stick the headliner and then pull it loose and re-stick it and pull it loose and re-stick it. I did that over and over and over again as I was pulling and stretching, and it just kept sticking again and sticking to where it wouldn't pull away when I was pulling on something on the other side. Even although I'd maybe stuck it and unstuck it 2 or 3 times, it would still hold when I was on the other side pulling the other side tight. Okay, here's the glue that he recommended. Good stuff. I wish they sold it in smaller quantities, but the truth is, when I was all done with mine, I used 1/3 of a can, so a quart wouldn't have been enough to get the job done, and I would have had to been more judicious about where I was shooting the adhesive on the headliner especially. You'll notice that I shot it on did the 4-inch border. Yeah, and I did that actually on the front and the back too, but I ended up having to go back and shoot another 4 inches up on both the front and the back. So maybe it might be a good idea to put the headliner in so you could mark where the pinch weld lands and then shoot a border, a band of glue along where the pinch weld is going to be. So you're not shooting glue where it doesn't need to be, and then you could probably get away with just using a quart. I couldn't find it in any smaller quantities than this, so I guess I'll be helping my brother put headliners in his cars. Kiwi. You can go watch his video. I'll leave a link down below. I'll leave a link to the adhesive down below. I just got it from Amazon. No big deal. It's spray grade, so you just pour it in the pot of your spray gun and shoot it. I was using just this cheapo gun, and I think it's got a 1.7, yeah, it says right there, 1.7 nozzle on it, which worked really good. For cleanup, I used lacquer thinner. It doesn't dissolve the glue, but what it does is it destroys its ability to adhere. So what happens is all the glue that's in the gun and in the passageways, it pulls away from the surfaces and it balls up onto itself. And then you can just yank it out of there. So like I put lacquer thinner in here and then I just took a stick in there and stirred it. And I ended up with a stick with all the glue that was in the gun was stuck on the stick, and the gun was clean on the inside, the pot was. So I just did that to clean the adhesive out of it. It worked really, really well. That's the main takeaways. You know, obviously I didn't do that great of a job making it look perfect. But I think the lion's share of the fault there is with the people who actually made the headliner. That couldn't possibly have been right. As for the color codes on the bows, for my car, the colors were on the driver's side, and it was just plain in the front and then red, white, and blue. My front one was black, if you noticed, because it was rusty and I had to clean it and paint it. I didn't want the rust. The rust actually ate the pocket on the front seam of the original. It actually doesn't look that bad. It really doesn't. It was a long job. I spent, between the cleanup and the preparation, it took me the whole day. Yeah. Thanks for watching Don's Manufactory. I'll talk to you later.